So I started with covers because I was always paranoid about posting original things for the fear of it, being stolen and all these things. And I had a
Oh,
lot of,
sure.
misconceptions about the industry that my manager kind of, taught me, and I learned as I started, going through it.
Hi, Alicia. How are you?
I'm good. You?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you doing this.
No, thank you for having me.
I'm excited to chat with you. I love what you're doing thus far.
I appreciate you. Likewise.
Very, very cool. I'm Adam, and this is a podcast about you and your journey in music, and we'll talk about the new song and the EP you have coming out later this year.
Yes, let's go. I'm
Cool.
excited.
Awesome. You're born and raised Montreal, Canada. Is that what I saw?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What was that like? I mean, were you in the city? I know it's a big music city, at least, and it's a big city.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in the suburbs called Laval, but always went to school in the city,
Oh,
and
okay.
it was good. It was cold. But I mean, it was a good time. I love the city. It's a beautiful city. There's a lot to do. The summers are super fun. But yeah, I just made the move to LA about 6 months ago.
Wow, how you liking it?
I really like it. It's been difficult to adjust since I kind of just like this has been like the kind of craziest adjustment that I've had to make in life thus
Yeah, I
far.
bet, sure.
It's been kind of like a 180 flip. When I was in Montreal, I was studying finance,
Oh,
kind of
wow,
sort of
okay.
my life. Music was always my passion. So that was just always around. But yeah, this has been a great change, but I love it. I love the weather here. Can't complain.
Really? Even recently? I've heard it sucked recently. It's been just, like, drizzly and dreary.
It has been, but hey, look, I'll take it over the snow.
There you go. Yeah, I'm originally from San Diego. I recently moved to Nashville, Tennessee, where the
Cool.
weather is, yes, not as nice all the time as it is in California, but my family's still in San Diego, and they were saying, "Oh, it sucked recently. It's just been, like, gray, and we haven't seen the sun," so I thought that was interesting. You move out to LA and it's like, it's not sunshine and 70 every day like it mainly is.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. Usually, I'm in the middle. I'm just like in a studio, locked away.
There you go.
The darkness, regardless.
Regardless if it's
Well,
not, yeah, nice or not outside.
yeah.
You said you went to school in the city. Was that for everything, elementary school, everything prior, or was it only when you got into like college and university?
Yeah, elementary was more local. It was like 10 minutes from my house,
Okay.
and high school was in the city. I went to Villa Maria. It's like an all girls Catholic high school,
Okay.
and every other school was yeah in the city, kind of downtown area. I went to Dawson and then Concordia, John Molson. So,
Okay. So
yeah,
is that fairly far from your house? Like to get to school, was that like a trek or not really?
it was like it's like a honestly, when I was in high school, that was like wake up 5:55 a.m., like rush out of the house with like half my makeup in my bag, do it in the car, like make a toast, eat it in the car, or like it was like an hour and 10 commute.
Oh my goodness.
So that was like it's a little long, but honestly, it's just something that I feel like we all kind of did and we're used to that I guess after like, hey, look, I'm not a morning person. So that was the bad part of it.
Sure.
But I made sure that all my classes, when I got to choose, started at like 10.
There you go. Very,
So
very
then it was
cool.
chill.
Nice. And how did you get into music? Do you come from a musical household or
I honestly I would say my parents, they love to listen to music, and my mom always did like dancing and plays, and she was kind of into acting and singing kind of together, like little theater kid vibe.
Mhm.
But everybody else in my family is kind of more like sports. But I'm
Oh, sure.
the odd one that's like strictly art, like cannot do sports. It is not for me. But I kind of just always grew up like drawing on the walls, painting on the walls,
Of your
drawing
house? I bet that made your parents stoked.
literally. Literally. I would like dress up the banister in our house, like the railing. It was just like a little, there was like a circle on the top.
Uh-huh.
I would like turn it into a person. So that's when my mom's like, oh, okay. Art classes. And I just always sung
Okay.
and hummed my little tunes. And I started writing music at like 6 or so. I was writing random, who even knows? Okay.
But
Who knows?
still, to come
But
up with your own, you're kind of creating at that early of an age.
yeah, that was kind of what I always just did for fun and to entertain myself as a kid. And that's what stuck essentially. So
Wow. And at what point, or like through maybe, I don't know, when you got to high school or something prior to that, were you like writing out your own? I mean, at 6, you probably weren't sitting down and being like, okay, verse, chorus, this, that. But like, at what point were you writing your own music and maybe showing it to people, or did you start off really doing cover songs? 'Cause I know you had a few huge ones on TikTok, but before that, were you writing your own music?
yeah, I'm like trying to remember when it kind of started. I remember being around like 6 and showing my mom like this song that I had written that I actually have it like at my house in Montreal in a book that I kept. So
Wow,
I
you
like
wrote
I
it down. That's
revisited. Yeah, I was very like scrapbooky, journally. Like my art and my lyrics were kind of like one thing, and I'm like, this is my thing, you know? Like, I'm like, this is like what I do on my free time. And
right.
I remember that song having no structure, but I'm not sure when it kind of caught on, but I just remember always writing from personal experience. And look, I had, the mind of a child back then,
Mhm.
and it's reflected in the lyrics, but it was always coming from like me coping with whatever was going on. And I remember writing about, like friendships, crushes that I had. I wrote about a lot of family. I've written my parents so many songs for like Mother's Day and Father's Day. I remember
That's
writing a song
cool.
about One Direction. What else? I'm like, yeah, just a lot of experiences. I remember writing about death, like my grandfather's death, and I was kind of young, so it's just kind of like interesting to go back and look at that.
Yeah.
But
So
my
it
mom
seemed,
kind of put me
yeah.
in piano lessons from then.
Oh,
Yeah,
your mom put you in at what age were you put in piano?
like
Oh,
7-ish.
wow, okay.
So yeah, I mean, I always just watched a lot of YouTubers kind of doing medleys and covers and things, but I had always wanted to create the instrumental that I heard in my head to whatever I was writing. So
Mhm.
to me, it was like a tool that I wanted to acquire to be able to do that and just kind of do medleys and stuff. So that's always what I did essentially.
Wow. When you were in high school, were you kind of were you known as like the songwriter, or did you write songs and play them for anyone that you knew, or was this kind of like your own thing that you did without anyone else
Yeah.
really knowing about it?
No, I would say it was definitely out there. I always made it a point to myself to kind of sing any chance that I had, so that I can get better and practice, because I was super, super nervous when it came to live performance, but I loved it and I wanted to do it. So all of my friends kind of knew that about me. I started singing at talent shows. We did like mass in school, so I often
Mhm.
sang there, like literally any chance I had.
Oh, like
So
the
people were
hymns
kind
and
of like,
stuff at mass?
I don't even remember what I was singing. I think like I don't even know if they were religious. I literally can't remember. But literally any chance I had to sing, I took it, and people would kind of just be like in the hallways, like, "Oh, are you that girl who sings?" So like that was just kind of like that was me pretty much. So
Yeah, for sure. You said you went to school for finance. Was that, when you had graduated high school? Did you decide not to go to music school, or like what kinda led you down that path?
honestly, music school, I never even thought of as an option. If I'm going to be totally honest, I loved making music on my own and I love doing this. And I always had like vivid dreams, or like just kind of like looking into the future of me being on a stage, like winning a Grammy, like all of these dreams that I had as a kid, right? But
Mhm.
I never thought that it was actually possible because I didn't know how to get there. And I think just kind of growing up in that small town beat when I was studying, and, strict Italian parents, like, you better get those good grades, you better get that degree.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was good at math, so I just kind of kept it rolling in that rhythm. And I honestly went into sciences a lot,
Huh.
just kind of always thinking of my family and just not really myself. And my brother's autistic, so I always kind of had that in the back of my mind of like,
Oh wow.
I'll, I'll
I
have
have
to.
two boys that are both autistic.
Oh my God, really? How old are
Yeah.
they?
One's 15 and one's 7.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, then you get it. So
Hmm.
I just kind of always thought of him in that way, thinking like I just want to make sure that financially I'm okay so that we can all be happy and I'll be able to take care of him. Like my parents never put that burden on me in any way at all, but
Sure.
me as a big sister was always very protective of him. And I just always kind of thought of him that I feel like I ended up making decisions that ultimately led me to be unhappy in my profession. And
Right.
it kind of just led me into finance. And this is kind of over the course of years.
Mhm.
But going into sciences, being like super overwhelmed and just kind of gut knowing like this is not for me, and then switching into like commerce, and then same thing in university, like going into actuarial, and then after 2 days being like, oh my God, what's going on? And like going into finance from there. But I'm very grateful that I did the degree. It taught me a lot in terms of discipline
Yeah,
and
for sure.
just kind of studying alone. And it let me kind of be alone with myself and figure out these things, especially when the pandemic hit. I was
Hmm.
still studying, so I feel like the piano was
Oh
literally like
wow.
staring at me during my classes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And well, finance obviously is not something that you won't utilize. But even in the
No,
music business,
definitely.
it's
Yeah,
something
for sure.
you're gonna
It has
need.
helped me. Definitely has helped me. So I'm grateful for that.
I'm well, I don't want to dig too far into your personal life, but I'm just curious with your brother said you said your brother is autistic. Was music something that helped him cope? I know for my kids, it's been at least my youngest one, that's been something that, has been beneficial.
Yeah. I would say that me and my brother, he's like my best friend. So our kind of bonding experience is not necessarily when I'm singing because I have a very loud voice.
Oh, sure.
So
Okay.
he's like, it's too loud. You
Right,
need
right.
to calm down. So he keeps me humble. But
Okay.
our kind of bonding experience has always been like this guy gets songs stuck in his head, and I'm telling you, like he's had the same song stuck in his head for like 10 years. And it's like, you need to help me find my favorite song, but the guy is tone deaf, so it's always difficult to figure
Okay.
out what the song is. So we have spent many, many hours just kind of searching the internet for his favorites, and when we find it, it is literally the best reaction ever. It's like you already know, like when you find a song that's been in your head for like a day, you're like, oh my God, that relief. Imagine 10 years, this guy.
I know. I can't even I'm thinking about that right now. Just like having a song. Like, what is that? It's like driving me nuts. You're like trying to sing it to
Yeah.
Siri or something. And it's like, no.
Yes.
What?
He definitely has his favorites. And we have kind of our few that have stuck in our household that we'll rinse, because him, like when he's got a favorite, that's his favorite for life. So,
Right. That exactly. That's how my kids
yeah.
are. I'm just curious, what song is his favorite one?
I would say Done For Me, Charlie Puth and Kehlani.
Okay.
Love that one. Another one is I Wish, Stevie Wonder, because it was in the movie Happy Feet. That was like a big
Oh, nice.
family kind of movie for us. We all
Uh-huh.
love that movie because of the soundtrack. Um, there's one by Susie McNeil called Are You Ready? I think is the title.
Okay.
And when
Not
we found
familiar.
that one, he literally like
That was
zoomies.
it.
It was
That was
like,
the 10 years.
yes, the peak of excitement. We were like, both of us were like flipping out. So yeah, that was great. But
I love that. So you were in school when the pandemic hit, and is that when you start to, kind of jump on that TikTok thing with that was it, right? When it first started, people were just like, okay, I'm inside, I'm losing it. Let's go on this app. And
honestly, yeah, it was. I had a friend that we were studying. This is like right before the shutdown.
okay.
So we were on hour 13, literally had an exam the next day. took a break, and we ended up having like our little pep talk and like our just us kind of like being delirious. And she was telling me like, anyone could go viral, like just post on TikTok, come on, come on. And I was like, I don't know. And then I think like a few days later, it shut down. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I won't connect my socials or anything. I'll just do it. And that's what happened. Just kind of like in the thick of the pandemic, it was session 32 that went viral and got me connected to my manager. She kind of like slid in the DMs. And we've been
Sure.
working together ever since. So
Oh my gosh. So was that one of the early videos you had done as well that took off?
it was. I think I had kind of maybe like 5 or 6 before that.
Okay.
And it was like relatively inconsistent. And I just think that it was the confidence kick that I needed to just kind of have that courage to keep that going, because I always knew deep down in my brain, just kind of like looking into the future, that that's what I always wanted to do. And this is always what I've dreamed of and more. But I never actually tried because I just kind of crossed it off without trying because I didn't think it was an option because I didn't know how to get there. So
Right.
it was odd. It was just kind of like an odd way of thinking, even
Well, I
though it
think a lot of
was,
people are like that, right? It's like, oh, it'd be so awesome to be this or whatever, and then just not having the courage, maybe just, I don't think I'm good enough to do that. But I mean, having an app that you could go on and just try, right? And then it resonates with so many people and the song goes viral. I mean, tell me what that's like. You have this viral moment. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this song, I'm gonna put it up, and then what do you check your phone half an hour later and it's just like doing a bunch of views, or like how did it kind of walk me through that? I always find these stories so fascinating.
yeah, so I had posted a cover of All I Want for Christmas Is You, and
Mhm.
that one had done like pretty well. It was like the best video that it was the best that any video had done. So then I was like, okay, like I should kind of keep this up more consistently, because before it was like 1 month here, 1 month there.
Right.
And I remember going for a walk with my friend, because that's kind of like what we were doing. It was like right when the pandemic hit and everybody
Yeah.
was like, what do we do? Like what's going on? What is happening? And I was like, let me just film this duet real quick. And I just like kind of sung it. She was literally right next to me. And I left my phone at home and we went for a walk and we hung out for like maybe a few hours. And then I came home and it's exactly what you said. It was blowing up and I was so overwhelmed with excitement and just kind of gratitude, and it was crazy. I didn't expect that, and yeah, that's kind of when my whole world flipped. Pretty
Right. I can't even imagine just like what looking down and being like, is this is my phone been hacked? Like what is happening?
and it was the day right before my birthday.
Oh wow, that's
I was like
amazing.
I was like,
Like happy birthday.
this is a miracle.
And then you continued doing some covers right on there for a bit and had a bunch of
Yeah.
other ones do really well. Um, and then you put up your own song, which also did very, very well.
So I started with covers because I was always paranoid about posting original things, for the fear of it, being stolen and all these things. And I had a
Oh,
lot of,
sure.
misconceptions about the industry that my manager kind of, taught me, and I learned as I started, going through it. But because of that, and also to kind of get ready with what I wanted to put out first and make sure that we can get the songs recorded and deliver them on time when there's a demand for it, essentially. I started with covers and eventually posted originals when I was kind of ready to do that. And
Mhm.
yeah, Congratulations was one of the first bunch that I posted, and that's also the first song that I played for my manager over Zoom. Like I literally did it live because I was like, I don't have any demos to send you. And I'm like, I can't send you anything. Like, what if you steal it? Like, I don't know who you are yet. So
They're just
so
recording it and
bad.
then pitch it to some other artist.
So, because I'm like, I didn't know. I'm like, this is my whole life. Like, you can't do that to me, and I don't know you. So I'm like,
That's
now
funny.
I'm a lot more chill. But at the time, and she was like, that's the one. That's your first. And so I came out to LA in the summer to get that produced out, and we did all the vocals and stuff. So
Wow. Yeah, you put that out and it was another viral moment, right? On TikTok. It had millions of people were using it or hundreds of thousands.
it's crazy. It's
But
honestly just, it's been so surreal. And just to be able to connect with people in a way that, like I've always made music to heal myself, and it's been my greatest form of therapy and my outlet for everything. And if I can just help one person, like, mission accomplished, you know what I mean? So to kind of have that feedback and outreach from people saying like, I've been through a similar thing, especially that song, I wrote that when I was at a very low point. It was coming out of a toxic relationship where I felt like I didn't really know myself because I had, lost myself in that relationship. And
mhm.
for people to be able to kind of relate to that and say that it helped them, realize who they are and get through that has been just everything. And it's just so true that music unites us all. So
Yes. And that's kind of the theme, right? Going into the EP, correct?
yeah,
Yeah, it's called Selfless, but there's a in between there's self and
yes,
less.
yeah.
Uh so when you went into the EP, was that kind of the story you wanted to tell? Was it the kind of what you had in your mind?
So I was in a relationship when I had started making it without kind of knowing that I was making it. I was just kind of writing a bunch of music, and eventually, I think it was my second week of sessions ever that I had written what actually ended up being the majority of the EP, but Congratulations is one that I had written kind of a while back.
Prior, yeah.
And I had written the title track called Selfless that was actually about my brother. It was about a conversation that I had had with him when I was working with my manager for quite some time now. And we were talking about, like, you might need to move here, like without that great of a warning. So that was always kind of like the pressing thing in the back of my mind of like, if something happens, like you might need to make the move kind of ASAP. So I was trying to prep him for that.
Oh, for
And
you moving, your manager telling you you might need to move to Los Angeles.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
understood.
So I remember having this conversation with him like in his room at like 1 in the morning and being like, I'm gonna have to move out at some point. And, and he's like, move out where? Like, where are you going? And what do you mean? And he was really confused. And I can tell that like it really disrupted him and was, pretty triggering because that's a deep disruption in his routine. So it's like a big
Yeah,
change in his environment.
my kids need the routine. If the routine gets off, it's not a happy home.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to prep him for that and have that conversation. And I was telling him, and he was saying, you're going to take a plane, not a car. Why not a car? Like, how come you have to take a plane? Because he kind of associates planes with vacation. So he was all confused.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, you're not going to you don't have a key card? I'm like, no, it's a key. Like, it's going to be like a house, right? Just kind of like trying to explain this to him. And he just kept repeating, like, you're going to leave, you're going to leave, you're going to leave. And this conversation was truly the most difficult conversation I've ever had with anyone. Like,
I
my brother's
bet.
my best friend, and family is everything to me. So it inspired the title track with the slash, because I feel like I always grew up um thinking that if I did anything for myself, it would be selfish.
Mhm.
But in doing that, with maybe giving this quality to the wrong people, like in various relationships throughout my life that the rest of the EP is about, I I lost myself and kind of lost my identity in that because I was just, people pleasing, and I never even made the list. Like, forget first, forget putting
Right.
yourself first. So I kind of wrote that song about how it's difficult to leave him and leave my family, and just kind of hoping that it's the right decision, and just kind of stressing the importance of doing something for yourself, because at the end of the day, it's like you have one body, one mind, one soul, one life,
Mhm.
and you should put yourself first. And I don't think that today that necessarily means that you're selfish. And he has adjusted, honestly,
That's
a
good.
lot to, and just like to the best of his understanding, has kind of, started getting in, and like he'll drop me off at the airport and be like, she needs to go back to Los Angeles because she's a singer girl now, right? And like, now I come back, now I come back home and it's wholesome vibes. And now I'm kind of just like cool sister that takes me out to do all of the fun stuff,
Sure.
bowling, ice cream, trampolines, etc. And I'm sure he's gonna come and visit me soon. So
That was gonna be my next question, if you've had a chance to come out to LA and see
he
what you
hasn't,
do.
but yeah, I look, it's easy to convince him when you show him a hot tub or a pool.
He's
I'm
in.
there. Yeah. So it's like, when are we gonna go there? Yeah.
Uh, well, I mean, I love the idea and everything kind of behind your EP, but it's interesting because you're saying you're being selfish in a sense, like you're doing this for you, but with your message and your songs, that you're really giving back to a lot more people in the sense of like other people going through the same relationship, toxic relationships, or whatever they're going through. Like you said earlier, music is definitely a therapeutic thing, and you could be helping more people than you'd ever know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I attribute this quality to my brother, and I attribute a lot of the qualities that I'm the most proud of to him.
Mhm.
And I think that I'll always be this way, and it doesn't need to be unhealthy for me. I think it was my lack of boundaries that was the issue.
Mhm.
And I will, always just continue to put my music out there and write from a very vulnerable place, because it's just always who I've been. But I think it's just about being precious about it, rather than kind of just giving it to everybody and exhausting all of your emotional energy, and especially emotional energy. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, I wanna hear about the new single before I let you go. Strange is the newest song. Tell me all about this song.
Yes. So Strange is what I think of as like the story of my life. And it's interesting because after writing Congratulations, that song is very much how I felt, just kind of hopeless and drained, and is a cry for help. And then in the outro, kind of just like going back into same cycle, just starting over again, of like giving all of yourself and
Mhm.
not really protecting yourself in that process. So it doesn't need to be negative, but it is if you're not protecting yourself, and if you don't have your own personal boundaries. But today I feel like I relate to it just the same, but in a much different way. In the outro, I kind of think of myself, especially giving myself the love that I asked for, and other people are kind of just like showing up for myself how I wish that others had done, because I think that it's become a song kind of about self-love in the flip of it.
Mhm.
I think of, my family and that kind of thing. So I think it's just telling of like, even growth is difficult, and your emotions could kind of resemble that of maybe when you were in a different kind of hopeless place, but in a much different way. And yeah, it's just growth can be challenging and uncomfortable, but I think that that is important to grow.
Mhm.
So
100%. Well, Alicia, thank you so much for taking time to hang out with me today. You're an incredible artist and obviously an amazing sister to your brother. And
I appreciate you.
I have one more question for you before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
um yeah, I would say definitely don't don't stop believing in yourself. And if you have a dream, chase it, because you can, potentially live your whole life maybe regretting that. And I didn't feel empowered to do that, just kind of rolling through the school system. And I would just say that find that within yourself. And if you have a dream, work hard and hang on to it. Because you can do it. So yeah.
Bringing it backward.